Hello world, it's me, Von Al. Hope everybody's day is doing great. Hope everybody's energy is staying high and that the vibration is staying high as well. It's a beautiful day out today. Came out to the nature trail a little bit, Walked down there. There's a lot of hog activity. So didn't go too far down the trail today. Don't have a firearm or anything, so safety before curiosity sometimes. Um, I'm struggling, I suppose, to get into the energy of doing this. I've meditated. I've probably spent about an hour today meditating, trying to find the energy that I wanted before I started recording today. And I guess I kind of unbalanced myself a little bit before I hit record. So most of these are probably going to turn out to be rambles. So buckle up, I guess. There's many topics that we could get into that I could talk about things. Sorry about the traffic. I'm at the head of the trail, so but there's many things that we can get into. Today I kind of wanted to talk briefly. I know most of my videos generally run about 20 minutes. But I say briefly because this is a topic that I could honestly talk hours upon hours upon hours about. And that is, in essence, human origin. That's what led me to it. But I really want to focus in today on what most people call the Anunnaki. Zecharia Sitchin, I give much credit to that man. Though I will admit not all of his work resonates as 100% true. There is a level of interpretation that goes into these things, and that's fine. Ultimately, I mean, your perception is your reality, right? So I love his work, Sitchin's, that is, and I no way own any of his work or any of that. I'm just going to talk about the same topic and preface that with I learned quite a bit from his work. But on the Anunnaki, I think the first thing that I would like to explain to you guys is that they were never gods. Beings of higher consciousness, higher levels of understanding, absolutely. Better technology, undoubtedly. But they were never gods. Now, some of them graciously paraded around as such. Others accepted the worship, albeit grudgingly in some senses. But again, they're people. They were people. Or they are people. So, in the same sense as if you had 1,000 or more people showing up every day to give praise either to you directly or to a deed of yours, in the same way that I would hope that you're honest enough with yourself to say that it might inflate your ego a little bit, especially in their situation, to where they were dealing with lower level beings in every sense, being man. But the story that I want to get into kind of goes back before that. There's a couple of the Anunnaki that I want to talk about directly. The first that I'm going to bring up is a being known to the Sumerians, or ancient Sumerians, ancient people of Sumer, as Ningishzida. He's described in the Sumerian text as the scribe of the gods. He's also notably one of the younger sons, meaning not the eldest, of Ea, or Enki. And he has many names. Ea does. Many names. Many faces. Same with Ningishzida. Most of you, if you're on this channel and this is the kind of information that you seek out, most of you probably know him as Thoth, the Egyptian god of wisdom. I first met him, or his essence, in a sense, his path, his journey, the bread trail that he left behind him. I first recognized him as Odin, from the Norse pantheon, in case anybody isn't aware of what that is, or who that was. And you'll find this, that with the Anunnaki, with all religions, and I mean all of them, even the monotheistic religions with one god. Their stories, they're still in there. Their names are changed, their roles are changed, but they're still in there. But in all of the other pantheons, these are the same beings. Different names, a little bit different depiction, some switching of the stories, a blending of traits, if you will. But ultimately, these are the same beings, the same people. I pause and I'm putting a lot of thought into it because I really want to it to go home, like to drive it home, like they're not gods as you and I would call them, or what we think of a god. Simply beings, more long-lived than we are now, which wasn't always the case. It's part of the story. But yeah, they're people. Obviously not from here, this planet Earth. They came here from their world, Nibiru. I do apologize for a lot of the pause. I swear I'm not trying to just stretch this out. It's a lot of the times it seems that when I go to speak truths out loud that are heavy, it seems that my tongue at times can become leaden, meaning it becomes, I search for words. I have a hard time actually speaking it. And there's reasons for that. We're programmed from a very young age to write all of this off. Right? But back to Ningishzida, or Thoth, or Thoth, however you want to pronounce his name, Odin, whatever you want to call him. Throughout his journey, and time here, he has exponentially raised the awareness of the human consciousness. Granted, there seem to be times of great awakening and then regression, but it's not necessarily a natural regression. It's a suppression. Call a spade, right? It's a suppression. And it's something that he has fought against for millennia at this point. Many millennia. Because the whole narrative that human history only goes back like 5 or 10,000 years is horseshit, in my opinion. I say in my opinion, but understand that it's an internal truth of mine that I know. But Thoth has spent a very long time trying to awaken man. And if you read the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, you gain some understanding of just how hard and how long he has tried. Now, I mentioned earlier that he is the son of Ea, or Enki. Very true. Not the only son, but one of them. From my research and my estimation and my internal knowledge, he is the son that most closely aligns with Ea's philosophy, with Ea's belief. And none of these beings are perfect. The idea or concept of a perfect God or gods is false. I don't have another word for it. It's wrong. There's no such thing as a perfect being. There were many mistakes that were made in the past by Ea, as with everybody, right? Most people in today's society will know Ea as the serpent in the Garden of Eden in the Bible. Now, before you get all up in arms about that, allow me to explain. Breaking it down from a logical standpoint, okay? It is said that in the telling of the Bible, which understand that story has been told so many times throughout the ages by many, many, many different people. The Garden of Eden story, it's been told over and over and over and over again. But the Bible's telling of it. It says that Adam and Eve lived in the Garden of Eden, paradise, heaven on earth, right? And it was Yahweh's garden. And we'll get to him in a minute, because he's not who you think. He's not. Now, the Bible tells us that in all of the garden of creation, Eden, there were 2 trees that were to not ever be eaten from. And Adam and Eve were told explicitly, and the text says this, I mean, it's in the book, right? So, it tells you that they were told explicitly that if you eat from either of these trees, you will most surely die. Okay? Well, we both know, well, I say both, but we all know the story, right? One day, Adam's off doing Adam things. They don't really give a very good explanation, but he was off learning. And a serpent slithered into the garden. And it came and it spoke to Eve. And it convinced Eve, through deceit and trickery, as they say, to eat the forbidden fruit of knowledge. Which she did. And then upon eating the fruit of knowledge, she realized a couple of things. One, that she was naked. That's what the book says, right? She realized she was naked and she was ashamed. So she brought some of the fruit to Adam so that he could be naked and ashamed too, I guess. Doesn't make a lot of sense when you think of it in terms of just a physical apple, which is unfortunately what I have found that most people seem to think it was. And that's the telling of the story, right? So they eat the fruit. Yahweh gets angry. God, he gets angry. And he kicks them out of the garden. And condemns the serpent to forever crawl and slither upon its belly, right? Well, now let's break all of that down. Okay? As a child, that story never made sense to me. Because here's the thing. If God is all knowing, then one, he'd have known they were going to eat that apple. Right? So if God knew that they were going to eat the apple, why did he react so angrily? You already knew it was going to happen. Why would that make you that mad, right? So these are the questions that I asked, and it didn't make sense until I got older and I started to break things down. I started to learn. I internalized things, and I went within, and I realized something. The serpent in the Garden of Eden has been the best friend of humanity. And I'll explain that. Because I know that's just horrible blasphemy to most people, right? Well, allow me to explain that. What is the fruit of knowledge? It's a lesson learned. It's a conversation in which you learn something. You take something away. The conversation, or the fruit of knowledge that Eve, as the Bible calls her, older texts have different names, but we'll stick with Eve for the sake of understanding. The conversation that she had wasn't with a serpent. It was with Enki. And the fruit of knowledge that he gave to her was, in essence, the same truth of knowledge that I'm trying to give to you. That you're a divine being made in flesh. We all come from the same flame. You were created. That's what he told her. We built you. In an effort to make a tool, we created something that awoke. And there's many ancient Sumerian texts that go into that, and it turns the 6 pages of the creation of man and the earth and heaven and all of that that's in Genesis into much, much more material because they go way more into detail. You see, when what we know as the Anunnaki came here, originally they had brought their own workforce, their own people, right? Now, Zecharia Sitchin says in his work that they were digging for gold to save the atmosphere of their home world, Nibiru. Okay. I don't think that it matters what they came here for. I don't think it matters what they were using the gold for. There's no doubt that they dug the gold. If you doubt that, I mean, there's 300,000-year-old gold mines in southern Africa. The inner walls they date back 300,000 years ago, and there's hand tools in there. So we've been around a lot longer than what we've been told, for one. But for two, they were digging for gold. We know that. There's physical evidence. It's a 300,000-year-old gold mine. So they were digging for gold. And this is the part where that intuitive knowledge that I have, that soul memory, the reason why I call myself Von Owl, this is where that starts to blend in with some of these ancient texts. Eventually, the workforce of the Anunnaki, known as the Igigi, or Igigi, however you want to pronounce it, the texts say the toil was too great. The work was too much. Right? So in essence, they're saying it wasn't worth doing. Now, a lot of these texts are layered in mysticism, right? Well, like with the Bible, the metaphor of the apple, it's just it's a conversation. It's not a real tree, man. The same thing is said for older texts. They're a little more literal, not quite as metaphorical, but still. So they say that they needed the gold to save their planet. So the Igigi were digging, and not just here on Earth either, on Mars as well. Well, everything boiled to a head. The Igigi started to feel like they were being taken advantage of, which they were. They were dying in the mines. Divine beings working in filth and mud, and eventually expending their life force energy and not being given a chance to replenish, to rejuvenate, to rest. And they started to die. And some of the Anunnaki cared. They saw this, and that's not good. They saw what was coming. But the one in charge, he didn't care. Not really. As long as the gold was coming in and the mission was going to be labeled a success by his higher ups, he didn't care. Sounds pretty familiar, right? It's the system that we live in because he established the system. You know him as Yahweh. I know him as Enlil. An older name for him is You. He is the half-brother of Ea, or Enki. Younger, but due to the political structure of their people, he was the heir to the throne. He was, he was next in line. He was next to succeed, next to be king, next to be whatever little monarchy title you want to put there. He was next in line. It was his birthright. It wasn't always that way. At first, it was Ea's. It was Enki's birthright as Anu's eldest born. But Ea was born of a concubine, or a secondary wife, not the first wife. Enlil was born by the first wife years later, but nonetheless, he was born by the first wife. Therefore, he was given the succession to the throne of Nibiru. And that's a key fact. Because originally, Enlil didn't come on the Earth mission, or the Key, as they called it. The planet was called Key. He didn't come. He had no business. He had no interest in it. Honestly, he thought it was a suicide mission because, from what the texts say, it was. Ea came first, Enki. Well, technically he was second. Ilalu came first, but he lost the throne of Nibiru in a fight with Anu, Ea's father. And he fled. He fled Nibiru, and he came here seeking gold as a salvation. And once he found it, one, he had to survive making it here. And if you go and you read these texts, a few key things. One, understand that all of the planets' names that you know are different. They call them different things. What we know as the asteroid belt, they refer to as the hammered bracelet. Just little things to help you out if you go and you dive into it for yourself, as you should, in my estimation. But Ea came after Ilalu to verify that what he said, right? And that there was gold here. And then he transmitted back to, made a phone call, called people back on Nibiru. Hey, he's not lying. Like there is gold here. Salvation can be obtained, right? When this happened, when Ea called and they said, oh my gosh, there's actually gold. He wasn't lying. He found it. And now Ea himself, he's there, which he was very respected among his people as a scientist and a very learned being. He was very knowed, intelligent, wise. Had women issues, and the texts to go into that, they tell them that he was what we would call a lustful spirit, right? He liked women. So, not perfect, right? But he was very respected. So, when he transmitted back and he said, hey, he's not lying, we found it, I've got a plan, I've already got some stuff going. If you can send more people, this is how to get through. This is how you get through the hammered bracelet or the asteroid belt. And, bring some help. We need more people on the ground. And they did that. But when that call was made and that praise was given, Enlil became jealous. I guess he was fearful of his position with his people, which is ridiculous in my estimation. But he became jealous. And he pitched a fit. And Anu folded and said, okay, yeah, no, you can go. But because of the law of secession, the second that Enlil's foot touched earth, Ea was no longer in control. So he was robbed twice. First, just by Enlil's birth, he was passed up for secession. Later in life, an opportunity to go and establish a colony on an entire different planet comes up, and he's given that opportunity and told, hey, you do this, everything goes well, you can rule there. That'll be your planet. But then Enlil got jealous and said, no, I want to be a part of that. I want to be part of saving our people. So he gets put on the mission, and the second that he comes, now he's in charge, and the planet's in his control. That's twice that Ea was screwed over. There's no way about it. So this video's already gone really long. I'm gonna kind of gonna wrap it up, but equate Enki to the serpent in the Garden of Eden, because the Bible, not all of it's bad, not all of it's false, not all of it's lies. There's a lot of good in there. A lot of good. No doubt. But there's also a lot of constrictive narrative meant to constrict the way that you perceive not only yourself, but your entire existence. And that's what I disagree with. But that is the doctrine that Enlil put forth. This is why he started calling himself Yahweh. Yahweh was never your friend. If you think about it from a logical standpoint, Adam and Eve were walking around the garden, didn't even have the awareness to know that they were naked. So, essentially, they were like the animals, right? That's how they were treated. That's for sure. Along comes a serpent, Enki, and he kind of messes that all up, you know? His consciousness got the better of him. Not the better. I think that he did the right thing. It should have been done from the very beginning. As soon as they realized, hey, this being is alive and awake, they should have been informed. And Adam was, in the end. I'll make another video. There'll be several videos of me going into this, but I just kind of wanted to start that story, because that's going to be a very big part of what I'm trying to do here. I'm not trying to insult anyone's beliefs by any means. Love, light, peace to everybody. Whatever helps you understand your existence, great. But make sure that it's actually helping you understand your existence and not telling you how to exist. So I wanted to start that story and establish that the serpent in the Garden of Eden is Enki, is Ea. He's the best friend that humanity has ever had, and the geneticist behind our creation. Which I'll do a video about that aspect of it tomorrow. Again, I always kind of bounce around in these videos. I'm working on trying to structure things a little bit better. But right now, I'm just kind of getting into the swing and trying to give you guys a feel for the types of conversations and the types of thought-provoking that I'm trying to emit. On that note, I think that it's important that I say, yet again, I'm not trying to insult anybody. Believe how you want. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I'm not. I'm here to offer some insight, to offer some knowledge. What you do with it is completely up to you. It's my intent that many will realize and feel the truth of my words, and will act accordingly. They're out. Quit giving your power to beings that have only ever tried to stifle you and your kind. With that, guys, it's going to be Von Owl out. Thanks for coming to my talk. Again, if this is content that you enjoy, like, share, subscribe. Let your friends know about it. I'm trying to get the word out there, guys. On that note, guys, peace, love, and light.